For the spooky season, I'm covering magic in Game of Thrones, the world of ice and fire. This video, I want to talk about elemental magic and its practitioners, and the times they used it to absolutely wreck some people's day. Magic, or something so advanced it seems like magic, exists in Game of Thrones, the world of ice and fire.
Maybe magic once was a mighty force in the world. Not anymore.
It has been used to kill, protect, disguise, res, and see the future. There are several types of magic used: alchemy, blood magic, divination, elemental, glamoring, necromancy, shadowbinder, skin changing. And a person isn't limited to one type of magic, though some do specialize in one area. But for this video, like I said in the beginning, we're focusing on elemental. Fire, air, water, and ice are the primary elemental control magics that exist. Let's start with fire. Typically, people that conjure and control fire are known as fire mages, but priests and priestesses of R'hllor are also known to use fire magic. This makes sense as R'hllor is known as the Lord of Light, Heart of Fire, and God of Flame and Shadow. So of course his followers would utilize fire in some way. Fire magic, like most magic, was strongest before the Doom of Valyria. However, with the birth of Dany's dragons, magic, and by extension fire magic, has become much stronger.
When your dragons were born, our magic was born again. It is strongest in their presence.
We see this in the books. In one case, a fire mage had a drastic change in abilities after her dragons were hatched. Dany witnesses a fire mage conjure a fiery ladder 40 feet high, climb it, with each rung dissolving behind him, leaving wisps of smoke as he went up, before reaching the top and disappearing with the ladder. This isn't something she has ever seen, and it seems to amaze the entire crowd, so it's not something commonly seen. In fact, when Dany questions if it's a trick, she's told, "No trick. Half a year gone, that man could scarcely wake fire from dragon glass. He had some small skill with powders and wildfire, sufficient to entrance a crowd while his cut purses did their work. He could walk across hot coals and make burning roses bloom in the air, but he could no more aspire to climb the fiery ladder than a common fisherman could hope to catch a kraken in his nets. And now his powers grow, Khaleesi, and you are the cause of it." Here is where we also see other magic users, such as warlocks, having grown in their abilities too, but that's not important for this video. Before the Doom, Valyrians were known to wield fire and blood magic to do incredible things. Valyrian wizards could shape stone with fire magic. As I mentioned earlier, Red Priests of R'hllor really love fire. In the Great Temple of Lys, we're told they're always burning things and crying out to R'hllor. So much it bores Thoros of Myr, though in fairness, he was always much more interested in the ladies and booze than burning stuff. We also know that those that are slaves of R'hllor and Volantis are given flame tattoos on their face. Fire magic has many uses, including burning away or cleansing any poisons that enter the body. Fire can let users see the future in its flames, which ties more into a future video on divination. Fire magic can also create fire wights. Fire wights are reanimated corpses via fire magic. This is done from the last kiss, where a red priest fills fire in their mouth and breathes it into the deceased, cleansing them with fire and resurrecting them. This flame can also be passed from one reanimated person to another deceased person, but the original wight will die to bring that new person back to life. While George R. R. Martin has confirmed fire wights aren't truly alive anymore, he also shared a horrible consequence of being a fire wight. He said, "And poor Beric Dondarrion, who was set up as the foreshadowing of all this. Every time he's a little less Beric. His memories are fading. He's got all these scars. He's becoming more and more physically hideous. Because he's not a living human being anymore. His heart isn't beating. His blood isn't flowing in his veins. He's a wight, but a wight animated by fire instead of by ice." As I will talk about in my necromancy video, fire magic to reanimate a corpse and how they come back really depends on how many times they've been rezzed and how long they've been dead before they were reanimated. Lastly, we know that fire magic can be used to create very powerful weapons. According to legend, Lightbringer, the Red Sword of Heroes, was created only after Azor Ahai spent 100 days and knights forging the blade in sacred fires. And while it glowed white hot, he plunged it into his soulmate's heart, which involves blood magic, but fire magic was also involved in this. So that is the end of fire magic. Now let's talk about the control of air. This includes aeromancers and warlocks. We know aeromancers at least occupy a shy where no magic is forbidden, but not much else is known about them. Red priests of our lore can use blood magic and fire magic to control the winds, but it isn't really known if that's actually air magic or using other elemental magic to control the air. The children of the forest seem to also have control of the air, as they can conjure up the wind to redirect people from areas they don't want individuals in. Warlocks are able to control the wind as well, but the exact magic isn't known. Next, water magic has been known to be extremely destructive. The 𝑉ᴗ₃₃ are best known for water magic and the use of it for offense and defense. The river Rouyn was said to whisper to its children to warn them of any dangers, and 𝑉ᴗ₃ princes could use water to create walls that would drown enemies. And while many different general magic users can manipulate water, water wizards of the 𝑉ᴗ₃ are some of the scariest. Lore states they were able to summon large water spouts to take out dragons and flood cities on command. One of the greatest curses was done when a Rouynnish prince was killed, and he used the water of the Rouyn to call down a spell. The Rouyn then flooded out of season and cursed the invading Valyrians with grayscale. From there, that part of the Rouyn has been covered in a constant fog called the Sorrows, where the stone men live and fear of infection is very real. We also know of the existence of water witches who are able to make dry streams flow again and deserts bloom to life. Of course, one of the best examples of water magic was during the Dawn Age and the invasion of the First Men. The children of the forest, in desperation to stop their coming, summoned hammers of water twice. First, they broke the Arm of Dorn and created the Stepstones. Then they flooded the Neck. I'm gonna add this in, even though there's not a lot of information. Storm Singers most likely control both air and water to control storms, but it really isn't elaborated on. Lastly, let's talk about ice magic, which is used by the Others. They use it primarily to create wights and likely others. These wights, unlike fire wights, are basically slaves to their creators. They are slow, have a cold scent, and feel no pain. They retain varying degrees of their memory, but they're not as there as fire wights are. Ice spiders, which were the mounts of the Others, may have been created via ice magic, but that isn't 100% known at this time. Definitely their undead horses are reanimated via ice magic. We know their ice swords are magical. George R. R. Martin stated that the Others can do things with ice that we can't imagine and make substances out of it. Their swords are supernatural in nature and do odd things, such as make high-pitched animal screams when a sword touches it, and the sword seems to scream when fire touches it. Their speech also seems to be made of ice, as it's described as the cracking of ice on a winter lake. Cold Hands is likely an ice wight as well, but not resurrected by the Others, and instead the children of the forest to serve them. Lastly, ice dragons are made of ice, and their breath is very cold for obvious reasons. Hopefully we'll read about them in one of his books one day and see if they are fueled by ice magic or capable of ice magic. So that is an overview of elemental magic in the world of Ice and Fire. Like, subscribe, and come back for more spooky videos for Spooktober.